My friends, welcome to another episode of Nuclear Heatwave Podcast, brought to you by Mafia Source Report. I am the guy who's got the ashy hands because I'm the light skinned man with the plan. And right over here, I got the only guy who could do this with me, the only guy who could make this work. We got Dr. Love.
What's going on today, Sauce Bronson? Yeah, it looks a little bit different from what you've seen before. Well, you know what? We were going to go with what's called a what if type episode of Nuclear Heatwave Wrestling Podcast. So, like I said, and like Sauce was saying, we're here to talk to you about some wrestling. And of course, we already got chats going on here. So let's see what we got. Papa Mafia in the house. Yeah. Thank you. As always, if you yes, we'll you right back. And of course, we got CBM in the house. Thanks, guys, from Cowboy CBM. There we go. Yeah. So, like I said, and we were talking about last week a little bit, we did have Ring of Honor. They had their show. And then we were also going to do our special What If episode of our podcast. So before we get into that, we will go over a little bit of the Ring of Honor show that happened this past Friday. So, and it was interesting because the show ended up being a pretty good show. Couple things I wish would have changed, but we were pretty entertained. I thought so. What do you think, Sauce?
Actually, I'll be honest with you, it was a pretty decent show. Like, once again, these type of shows. So for those who haven't noticed, when we watch pro wrestling, certain shows, kind of precondition us to like how, things are supposed to be ran or what to expect. Like WWE, you're there for the storylines or whatnot. You're there for the theatrics. AEW, well, let's put it this way: anything that's not WWE, Impact's not in between. But anything that's not WWE, you're just there for the wrestling. And that's how it is on ROH and AEW. So, and for the most part, New Japan, because they don't really do storylines like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it for sure.
But like I said, it was pretty solid. And as I said, me hosting, and of course, my biggest problem is when I host something, I overdo it on food. So to give you guys some context, I had 6 Downriver Dudleys that came over. They washed it, and of course, you know what I did? I ordered like 8 pizzas.
Hey, we took them home. We ate them.
I mean, why did I order 8 pizzas? I don't know. One day I'll get it figured out. I'm trying to think that. I'm pretty sure, like, as I was driving home today from work, and I was just thinking about it, I was like, maybe the rule is you're supposed to do like for 1 pizza for every 2 people. Because you figure people only eat half or not.
What? After doing a lot of the shows and hosting them, it also just depends on how much food other people are bringing. Like if someone's bringing some other food, then you can kind of shift it. But pretty much you're right. 2 per people, a pizza. That's pretty much it. After there's a lot of people bringing food, 3 people per pizza. So then because it's all going to be spread out anyways. But no, it worked. It was better to have more anyways, so we could eat. So so you were good, man.
Oh, and then also shout out to one of the the Dudley Dogs, Mr. Chad. He came through with the Coney Island. And for those who don't know, for those outside of Michigan who don't know what Coney Island is, it's like Waffle House but better and less fights. And of course, Dr. Love over here supplied us with some Taco Bell.
Yep.
And yeah, we ate a lot.
We were good to go.
And it was crazy because like one of the buddies, he he wanted to, I guess, have one more beer before he left, and he looked there, all that Coors Light and Miller Lite, it was gone. Like nothing was left.
Delete. They were deleted. I deleted a few of those myself. So right here, CBM knows what it's talking about. CBM loose hamburgers from Dooley's for the win. Yes, absolutely. That's a good. People talk about American. They talk about Lafayette. But Dooley's is the one that comes in and wins that race between them.
Listen. Here's the thing. Like when it comes to see, okay, I know we're supposed to be talking about pro wrestling, but when it comes to American and Lafayette, I mean they're cute and all, but like if you're really, but like especially if you're from the city of Detroit, yeah, you don't really eat there. And then if you're from the suburbs, yeah, you just eat there because it's something quick and cheap after being downtown. But other than that, I mean, they're cute, but that's all. That's for a whole nother day.
Hey, it's all good. Do have a question here from looks like we got Alpha Rob. I have a wrestling question. How good do you think a match between the Steiners versus Beer Money? That's a great question there, Rob. Now, I'm going to assume you mean the Steiners at their peak, or at least before Scott Steiner turned heel, NWO heel. Versus Beer Money, I'd love to see it. I mean, because Beer Money was so hot there in TNA, and wish they were here. Wish they, James Storm actually came over. They kind of recreated it here, honestly, in WWE, I should say. But I think it would be a pretty good match. I think it'd be a little bit different because you have the pure wrestling style, the Steiners, versus, I'm not saying that they can't wrestle in the Storm and, and Rude or whatnot, but it's like, but it's like, man, it would be entertaining as hell to watch. I'll tell you that.
Let me tell you what I think, Mr. Alpha Rob. It's definitely excellent match. Man, it might be close to man-meat territory only because it's going to be a lot of hard hitting, a lot of power wrestling. Basically, you're going to have two guys who do a lot of power wrestling, a lot of big slams versus two guys who just want to beat the crap out of you. So overall, yeah, I'll say, in our rating system, for those who don't know. So as far as, how we do things, actually, hold on, let me apologize real quick because I need to bring this down a little more. But as far as, I got a lot going on. But would it be Shockmaster? No. Would it be Booty Cheeks? No. That's our 1-star rating. Would it be meh? No. And of course, do they do their job? Of course. Solid, of course. But like I said, as far as our little rating system goes, but I would definitely say excellent. It might be man-meat worthy, but like we're talking like that. Basically, we're talking like golden age wrestling type of style where it's no ladders, no tables, no gimmicks. It's just 4 men out there slapping each other's sweaty meats around for a good 18 minutes. Hell, 22.
Absolutely, because even CBM, early 90s, Scott Steiner may have been the best in the world, actually, around 91, 92.
Blue.
But that with the Steiners and them, how they could move as big guys, too. Now that is a definite good what if type question. I'll tell you that for sure. If you say, but no, that's what we like to see. We like to see like these kind of dream matches possible. Some dream adjacent dream matches. That's definitely a good one because again, Beer Money could have easily been recreated in WWE. They could have, but
well, technically,
they were so over, though. Impact, TNA, they were so over. It was crazy how over they were.
Well, here's the thing, Doc. We did have Beer Money in WWF. It was called APA.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, that was just kind of like a lucky happenstance that they were able to get over the Acolytes, the APA. You know what I mean? Like that, honestly, if it wasn't for the charisma of both JBL and Farouk, with Ron Simmons, they probably wouldn't have got that over, So,
right, but I mean, I get what you say. I do get what you're saying, but I mean, it did. But we did already experience it.
That is true, yeah. Though no one got to ride on a little barfly to the ring like Beer Money did. That was always the funniest thing with seeing him ride on the little barfly. And then he had the beer drinking belt, which was just like a toy spinner belt that had like bottle caps and a beer bottle on it. It was very funny. It was but so getting back to what we were talking about for the for the Ring of Honor show. It was pretty good. We'll start from the top of what you have there. It looks like Samoa Joe versus Dalton Castle. On paper, pretty much. Look, Steiner. Samoa Joe, yeah, he's going to win this match. But it ended up being a pretty entertaining match, though. Like Dalton Castle being Ring of Honor, like original, right? He played his character for full glory. He was. If you know Dalton Castle and all, you love him or you hate him, but he's entertaining. He with the boys in tow. He had extra boys with him at the ramp, just doing their what was that? Their little, yeah, they were just claps, and he was doing all of this fun, heel tactics. The boys were pushing them back in the ring, doing all this stuff. It was all in all was a pretty fun match, even though you pretty much knew Samoa Joe was going to destroy him. But like I said, it was entertaining for what it was. I personally would love to see Dalton Castle become champ again at one point. It might not be happening anytime soon, but I'm glad they had him on the card. So to me, it was a three headlock match just for the entertainment factor of Dalton.
Okay, I got you. And for those, like I said, for those who are not aware, oh no, what the heck just happened? I was trying to. Well, that clearly didn't work. I was trying to, as far as the. Oh, okay. There's a lot going on right now.
No,
I got a lot. Okay, there we go. The AEW thing is just screwing everything up. But as far as my I'm sorry. Let's do yours first. And yeah, we got a lot going on there. Don't pay us no mind. So me personally, you give it 3.
Yeah, entertaining. I thought Dalton Castle pretty much made it for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I give this. I'll be honest with you. I'm giving it 3.5. Only because like normally this kind of looked like a what's the best way to put it? This was almost like this would have been like a Sunday Night Heat match. From the start of it.
Yeah, this could be the main event of their show, their Ring of Honor show.
Yeah, like
okay. I'd buy that. Yeah.
And I'm be honest with y'all. This is my first time seeing Mr. Dalton Castle, and I want more. I need more Dalton Castle in my life.
I see. I didn't know Sauce. You never saw Dalton Castle before. Yeah, he's pretty entertaining. He really is.
Listen, Tony Khan, I want to see him show up. I need him to show up in AEW. Just give us like a good 1 month, good run before you send him to AEW Purgatory.
Oh my gosh.
But actually, I take that back. I found out that apparently AEW Dark is no longer a thing.
Oh, okay. That must be a religion thing. Yes. Okay.
So,
I
mean, I guess
we can't joke about Dark anymore. Oh man,
that's okay. We can find new ways to make fun of AEW.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But so moving on, we do from right here. It looks like you have on there the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match, Aussie Open versus defeating the Lucha Brothers, the Kingdom, and Best Friends. Now I'll tell you right now, we were all divided in our group for this match, and this ended up being a pretty good match where you really did not know who was going to win that match. I had picked the Kingdom, my brother's favorite team, because he loves Mike Bennett and Taven. He's a huge fan. He is. He's told me several times. But I did pick them as the underdog, and it looked like they might have had a chance, but alas, Aussie Open, which makes sense because they're really pushing. They're most likely going to be at at Wembley. They're going to probably be there as champions, stuff like that. Even though it's Ring of Honor champions, it's still, you're going to see it. You're probably going to see them. CAW stuff. It's going to be more of an event for any wrestling, but the match was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty good. It was high flying, lots of moving parts in that match. There was a couple weird spots. I remember with Lucha Brothers with Pentagon. It looked like, I always hate using the word botch, but it looked like he didn't know what happened on the pin, and he kind of flipped on the ground, looked around and it's like he lost the wrestler he was with, like working with, and then he didn't know what to do at that point. But then it kind of went toe for toe. Had some nice spots there with best friends. Pretty much everyone got to do their finisher, which wasn't it funny that almost everybody had a variation of the same finisher. Like it was either someone picked them up to do the double stomp to the chest, or they picked them up back and did the double stomp to the back. It's like, why are these all the same? Why are these all so similar? Dual finishing maneuvers. Other than that, it was pretty entertaining. I definitely have to give it a I'd give it a 3.5. A 3.5.
I respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, mainly because I personally would rather have elimination matches, and when it comes to tag team matches, to then whittle down the better teams or the chicken shit teams, the ones that find a way to eliminate a team, and get in. So if it was a fatal elimination match, would have probably rated a little higher. So yeah, I'd say, like I said, 3.5 headlocks.
Okay.
For me. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just over here just making everything worse.
No, my God. You are okay, Sauce. You were good to go.
We got a lot going on. So we giving it 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. And to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna go the same way. As far as this tag team match, and I predicted the Aussie boys will win. And for the most part, yeah, I mean, we got a good matchup. It's basically a car wreck the way I look at it. Definitely enjoyed it. Oh, for the match. Hey, welcome back, Mad Chatter. Big Papa Pump. Yay.
Right here, Big Papa Pump, the genetic jackpot. What can I say? Yeah, not me so much, but I'm going to just say I actually have, believe it or not, I have his old shirt, a Freakzilla shirt. Yeah. I do. It definitely does not fit, but I could probably Hulk out of it if I really wanted to. So we'll see. But that's funny.
Yeah, at this point, and then we get to what I call. So you have like the beginning, middle, and like the ending. Ending of the match. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Aussie Open had it in the bag, and then 5 minutes later, here they come back, and at this point you don't know who's winning.
No, it was very. We were like back and forth. I was like, "Come on, you're waiting on the outside the ring too long. I can see you waiting to get back in the ring."
Right. Good old cameraman. But as far as it goes, yeah. As far as the match itself, I'd agree. Definitely, the guys did their job. They kept us entertained. Because a lot of times, as we're going to go, as spoiler alert, we're going to go to the next match. A lot of times you have all this meat, this man meat in the ring.
Yep.
And sometimes the guys, it could definitely go horribly wrong.
Yeah, so this next one's going to be very quickly, and I know you're going to agree with me on this. So this next match was for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championship, which again makes no sense since they don't even have enough people on their roster to fill out that. But alas, it's a title. We're going to still defend it. Brian Cage and the Embassy, Mogul Embassy, whatever, they're still champions versus the very random team of Master Wato, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Liam Ruffin, who literally, I forgot, was the first North American champion for NXT. Like, literally, I completely forgot. That belt couldn't even fit around him. It basically was so small. I'm sitting here thinking that's Cheeseburger actually wrestling, and I'm like, no, it's Leo. Oh, my God, that was... So, basically, very quick on this one. Yeah, it's cheeks, buddy. It's got its cheeks. Yeah, that's a 1 for me. And honestly, I like Brian Cage. I think he's just kind of wasted right now. And if it really wasn't for him and Liam Ruffin, like that little guy, man, they were throwing him around. He was working his butt off. That's what stopped him from being a shockmaster personally to me. This match really didn't need to happen. You're talking about a match that could have been on TV, or TV. It could have been on a taping. That could have been on a taping and been perfectly fine. So, but again, I get it. They wanted the belts defended at their shows. They don't do too many of the shows. That's why it was there. 1. That's a cheeks, baby. Oh no! And now we got it. Oh, we got a shock
Ladies,
master.
attention, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time, we have a Shockmaster level caliber of a match, and it didn't involve Jay Cargill, and it didn't involve a women's match,
Yeah.
just in general. Which I, it sucks that it always most time it ends up in women's matches. It's mainly because of either booking or the producer of the match or whatnot. And yeah, I'm not gonna go into the rant of all the ones I did last year.
No.
But be as it may, I didn't care about this match going in. And sometimes, you have those moments where you don't care about that match. And obviously your opinion can change. Prime example, Swerve and Our Glory versus the Acclaim last year, where it was a match you didn't care about. You thought it was going to be a okay match, and it turned out to be all damn near the show stealing. But as far as this match goes, yeah, I didn't care about it going in. And I was going to give it. I promise y'all, I was going to give it a chance. I was really giving it a chance.
Yeah.
And through the botches and timing was just off, and I was just like, you know what, I don't even care. And y'all know what I did? I literally just got up and grabbed something else to drink, and then, yeah, I just didn't even care about this match. So this is my bathroom break match.
So let's one funny thing before we move on real quick. So after this match, after this whole show was over, it was Friday night, Rampage. We had taped it, we watched it. They already aired Royal Rampage, so we literally we watched them again in the Royal Rampage, Brian Cage and them, because we know it was taped, but it's so jarring to then like watch the show, but you're literally wrestling the same time, but knowing that it was taped 3 days earlier, so it was just very weird to see that again,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad as Impact Wrestling when it was like a month out for tapings. Let's talk about that. Actually, we're not going to talk about that because that's a whole nother podcast. So, but it looks like we do have one in the chat here from Mad Chatter. Who do you think the mystery third guy will be to join the Outsiders? Funny you say that because in our What If edition, I have a What If that goes directly for that, and I don't know if Sauce does as well. So,
kind of yes, kind of. I just threw that in there for the thumbnail just to spice it up, just to get whoever watching this thinking.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I came up with this thumbnail like 1:30 in the morning.
Hey, I thought it was cool. So, Mad Chatter, hold on to that. After we're done with this, we're going to go over that, and I'll let you know who I thought could have been the third member. And then we got CBM with Cheeks. So, can we make that the new Choosh, by the way? Let's try to make it the Cheeks. Cheeks.
Hey, I'm just letting y'all know from now on, if it's a crappy match, crappy moment, I'm just Cheeks. So yeah, thank you CBM for the idea.
There we go.
Listen, he said with the wing break, it was listen. If Brian Cage would have came out with his shorts on, Rock Hard Man Meet Cheeks, that ring might have break. I ain't gonna lie. I say they don't use them. They don't book him properly for most part, but I say, when the Rock Hard Cheeks come out, hey, listen.
Whoa. Cheeks.
This match sucked.
So we're going to move on to something immensely better, and that is the Pure Championship. Katsuyori Shibata defeating Daniel Garcia, and they've already had this feud going on. And I'm telling you, this match, I'm just gonna already before we kind of talk about it real quick. I'm putting 4.5 headlocks. 4.5 headlocks for me personally.
I got you, Doc.
Pure matches. I mean, it's great to see that they're really pushing that with the Ring of Honor brand. It wasn't just a belt that we're not really gonna. We have it. We're not gonna do matches. No, great matches. Daniel Garcia, him and his dancing, just it just reminds me of Alex Wright back in the day, when you have the Das Wanda kid dancing. And it's just great because he just wouldn't stop dancing. And Shaba's like, stop, sit, stop. And then he's oh my God. Hard hits there, some hard, meaty hits on each other. Oh my gosh. And you know, and then of course at the end I was like, no, let's go Garcia, and then he got kicked into oblivion. But as you guys, I mean, as you might not know this, but in Ring of Honor, there's a tradition in regard to all matches. In all matches, they're supposed to shake hands. The victor, that's always been the thing, even way back when they started, unless they're in a fight without honor match, which is basically like a hardcore match. Right. So in this match, at the end, Daniel Garcia did not want to shake hands. Shibata grabs his hand to like twist his fingers, and then lift his hand up to show that, like, oh, thank you. We've now had like it was such a funny spot, you know. And whether or not Daniel Garcia gets another shot at the title, it's not that big a deal because I do want him to move out, being more of the solo. But I was happy with that match. So, what about you, Sauce?
Oh yeah, easily. Like, so this was the match. So before I knew about Pac, you know, being, you know, as far as facing Claudio, this was the match that really was piquing my interest as far as the whole pay-per-view itself. I said, even if the rest of the card is, it's all right, you know, whatever. I said, at least even if the rest of the card is like that, I know this at least be the one match that I know, you know, that I will enjoy, and damn did it deliver.
There you go. There you go.
Actually, hold on. Oh,
I know what you're going for. I know what you're going for.
So from this match itself was just like, it was a roller coaster I didn't want to get off of. You had, like, you know, you had Man Meats here, you had Man Meats there. You had the good wrestling lad, Mr. Garcia, you know, doing his little sports entertainer, you know, shtick. And then even and what I like about Shibata wrestling here, I know I probably mentioned this before, but when Shibata wrestles, he for some reason I think of like a Yakuza member who decides to wrestle. That's how, for some reason, this is what comes up in my brain when it comes to Shibata.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. He's going to hurt you with his feet. He's going to hurt you with his hand. You know, chopping, hitting you, his backhand, and then, of course, the massive kick right to the damn upper chest, right in the face. So,
listen, this was a good ass wrestling match.
Yep.
I'll say it was close to being Man Meats. It was close. It was close, but we're in July, right? We're still in July. Correct?
Yep, we are almost into July.
So right now, this match is definitely. Right now, I'm putting the top 5 of the year. Top 5 match.
I like it.
This is definitely top 5. Top 5 worthy. I don't know what number, but it's in there. It opened the door. It opened the top 5 door. It peeked inside, and everybody said, "Come, you know, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay,
Kenny,
Roman Reigns." You know, some of those, they all just say, you know, come on in.
I like,
you know, make yourself at home, boys.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about this match.
Awesome. See, there you go. Now we kind of move back into this match here, which this was announced on like 2 days before the show. We have the Fight Without Honor match. We have the Dark Order versus the Righteous. So we have another stable. It impacts. I mean, that Impact. Oh God, now I'm talking about him. And AEW / Ring of Honor. And I don't even know what to think about this match. I mean, it was a hardcore match, right? That's what it was. Really, I wasn't really into it. The only thing I was really into, honestly, had to have been the damn thumbtacks and then the Lego spot. I mean, you're seeing Evil Uno. It's always, by the way, we already know this is going to go into our Wrestling 101 class that I am still doing later this year. And one of the rules is if you bring a weapon into the ring, you are getting hit with that weapon. Not even, no questions asked. Whether it's thumbtacks, almost always thumbtacks, or some kind of like barbed wire or something, you're going to be the one going through it or getting hit. So, thumbtacks were like, ooh, I think Evil Uno's going through that, buddy. I think he's going to be hitting that. And then they show the Legos. I mean, at one point, the Legos were stuck in his back, and you're like, we don't even care about the thumbtacks at this point. We're like And it is what it is. I mean, it's a hardcore match. It did its job, but still, even though it did its job, it wasn't as entertaining. So honestly, to me, it was just a 2. It's just a 2 headlock. It it was fun to see those like fun spots like that. A couple scary spots where you thought that someone was going to die at one point.
Right.
That usually is per the course at that point, but yeah, like when they had his mask ripped, that was pretty, like, if I remember correctly, right? His mask was all ripped and he was bludgeoned, he was bleeding out the part of his head. That was pretty cool. It was cool to see it. But yeah, to me, just a 2 headlock, pretty straightforward. But looks like you were saying the same, it looks like. Sauce.
So the only thing that saved this match from becoming booty cheeks was the third act, when everybody just started just acting. Well, the Legos attacks and the third act of the match, where you get ready to the close, as far as everybody, just being all flippy dippy and everything. But for the most part, I mean, when it comes to this match, you pretty much hit the nail on everything else. But it was just a couple of little, like I said, it was just a couple extra things they did that saved this from being booty cheeks. So
yeah.
That's all I got.
I gotcha. I hit the bed on nails just like Kenny Omega did. I gotcha. I understand.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's, I mean, pretty straightforward. Now you have the co-main event of the show, which was actually Claudio Castagnoli defeating Pac in the co-main event. So basically, it was supposed to be Mark Briscoe. Briscoe was out with injury, and then Athena came up to management and said that they should be the main event. Was that how? I'm not sure exactly. Sauce, you had mentioned something about, you had read something about that, and that's how.
No, I was just shocked. No, so that night when we were watching, when I saw that those two, when they announced them two next, I just looked at the TV and said, "Holy crap, Athena is closing." Yeah, that's just all I said.
Yeah. So, regardless, you got Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac, and I'm not gonna lie, I would have loved to see Pac win that. It would have been great for him. It would have been like, man, let's go.
Yeah, and I for damn sure thought that he was going. I for damn sure thought Pac was walking out with that belt.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, the match was very good. I hated the ending. Because the ending was just Wheeler Yuta randomly running out there doing nothing, and then Claudio just grabbing him to beat him. And I'm like, you are better than that. You are the Blackpool Combat Club. Aren't you guys, that have more integrity or have that? And I get it, it's wrestling. I understand all that. I'm just saying that your group, you don't need that. You are, by bare fist alone, should have been able to beat them. Like, if they would have never done that storyline if William Regal was still there. Regal, they would have done it to where Regal would be like, no, you stay back. He does this by himself. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think CBM hit the nail on the head here. No, that's Wheeler useless. Oh my God. Next
he did there.
Show, I'm making that sign. I'm making that sign next time we go to a show for sure.
Hey, where's the bell at? Where's the bell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, got it right. Oh, there we go.
Hey, there we go.
Hey.
I see you did there, CBM.
Oh man. But yeah, I just hated the ending. I felt it was unnecessary. It was to do that type of ending for when they already had a great match going on. You know what I'm saying? So it will be. I hope Pac doesn't get shuffled back down to the wasteland. I mean, because he lost the international title to Orange Cassidy, and then literally was gone. Whether he was injured, I think he was gone, but he came back. But still, I don't want him to be in purgatory like Andrade, like Miro, like all these other guys that got put in the purgatory, and now they're just getting put back in the wrestling. Thankfully. So,
right.
The match itself, though, 4. I'd give it a 4. I thought it was, well.
Talk to me, Doc. Talk to me.
No, 3. I gotta give it 3.5. 3.5 because the ending ruined it. The Pac could have still lost. It was just the way that it was almost like if you had Seth Rollins winning the chicken shit heel type way. Like that would be the same as J&J Security going up there, whatever, and then him hitting them behind and win the match. But it's like that works for that character, but it doesn't work for the Blackpool Combat Club. It just doesn't make sense. So,
because every guy, so when it comes to Combat Club, that group is built where every man is really built to stand on his own too.
Yep. So it was a very weird ending for me. But hopefully hopefully they change that, because at that point I don't want Claudio as champion. I liked him as champion, but maybe give somebody else champion, someone else, and then we go from there. Speaking about champions, we got D-Town guy in the house. Yeah. Real world champion in the building. So there we go. It's okay. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. So hey, what's funny is I actually just finished a painting today, Sauce. I just finished a painting today.
Hey, let's go.
Look at that. Look at this little guy. For our upcoming art fair next week, I've been making some paintings. A couple back here, right there, Hogan and Sting. So as well. But good seeing you there, man. D-Town guy, as always. But it's funny. Let's see. And what did you put for your rating for this match? Sorry, Sauce.
Oh, still to me, the match, even though the ending was booty cheeks, but this match was still. I'm still giving this. Actually, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. I got a little overzealous. Sorry. It's supposed to be that. I saw too many headlocks going on, but I'm gonna say 4. This could have been. I feel like this could have been potential to be 5, but like you said, that the ending kind of soured it, and it almost, to me, in my mind, it defeats the purpose. It kind of crops on what the Combat Club is all about, which is every guy should stand on their own too, and take care of business. But the match itself, hey, everything else, I definitely loved about it. As far as these two guys, you got Claudio, you got Pac, and I knew this match was not going to disappoint. Like, I would say I'll put it this way. You could have had the Pure Championship in this match, and every other match on this card, and the other 6 matches on the card could have been, it could have been Mogul Embassy versus whoever. They just wrestled like 6 times in a row. They could have did that, and they could have just had these 2 other matches outside that, and I would have been fine with that.
There you go. Now, before we go into the main event, there was actually the other match. Commander versus Gravity was actually at the show too. It was the opening match.
I forgot to put that on there.
That's okay. That'll be real quick. So you have Commander who wrestled, and first time I see him wrestle was at the last show, and it was good seeing him because I was like, I never was very familiar with him. But then this new guy, Commander, like a relatively new guy, we were our Gravity. We were all like, who the hell is this guy? Dressed up like Buzz Lightyear, thought that was kind of funny. He's the real life brother of Bandito, former Ring of Honor champion. And it was kind of cool, like seeing that. I was like, oh, okay. And then the match, high flying match. You're getting per the usual. Although there was not one Canadian destroyer in this entire show. Not one. So that was very shocking. But anyways, that match, it was okay. It was back and forth here and there. But the ending ended up having Gravity win in like a surprise win. Like it was a very surprise upset win. But the only thing I didn't like about this was, 2 things. The match itself was fine. The match itself was like a 3-star match. 3 headlock match. But here's the thing about it. During that time, they showed a promo clip that Gravity was going to fight Pac this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite. So 2 things I don't like about this. 1, if Pac was going to win the world title tonight, do you think he's still going to fight this random guy, Gravity? No. The match was made because of the whole gimmick that Neville, Pac, had in WWE. The man that Gravity forgot. Yeah, I get it. So now he's going to face Gravity. So like, I get why they made the match, but it's like, why would you promote that then? You could have promoted it afterwards. It almost made it like you guaranteed he had no chance to win. So, but other than that, 3 headlock match. It was entertaining, but opening match too. So got the crowd pretty hot. But yeah, so hold on. almost lost. And then we do have CBM Commanders becoming the low light reel of botches. There you go. That's a good way to put it right there. So, I mean, that's so we do have the main event, which was the women's title, where Athena defeated Will Nightingale. And we've talked about this before, me and Sauce, and Will Nightingale has been on this meteoric rise throughout the ranks in wrestling. As a rookie, it's been insane, you know, and winning the New Japan Strong title, winning the Owen Hart tournament for the women. It's so I honestly would have liked to see her probably win it, but having Athena win, it's not the worst thing. It really just because the former Ember Moon, now Athena, always just need to have some good workers to work with, right? And when she has someone like Jade Cargill, it's hard to judge her in any way.
Oh, booty cheeks. Yeah.
So watching this match was a nice breath of fresh air, honestly, for both of them. See that, and I was entertained. They had everything too. They were working outside the ring, inside the ring. They were doing some big hits in the corner. But what were your thoughts, Sauce?
So before I get my thoughts, what rate are we going with, Doc?
For me, I'd say that match as a solid 4 headlocks.
Okay.
Yeah, there was they like I said, I would have rather seen Willow win, but as the true babyface champion or babyface, like she's basically Cena at the highest that people liked him.
Yeah.
Or like Bailey,
Thugonomics.
highest that people liked her. Like that super kids love it so much and it works. So it's going to be very hard for her to not do that, if that makes sense. Not be able to do that kind of gimmick and just keep riding the wave as long as possible. That's all I say.
And for the most part, you hit the nail on pretty much everything as far as that match goes. The only reason I'm not getting it for, because I feel like, well, here's my thing with Athena. She's here, she exists. But like you said, I think it's because like she's had this run with this belt for like 7 months now. And obviously, I don't watch Ring of Honor every single week. And I know she's defended that belt on AEW against most people that nobody cares about. But I feel like in order for me to really, because here's the thing, when she was everyone in NXT, enjoyed her. Because she was always putting on high caliber matches.
Yeah.
When she got to the main roster, it's like they didn't know what to do with her. In WWE. Now AEW, same thing. Ring of Honor, it's almost like they're still trying to figure out what to do with her. But now that she's champion, it's almost like, okay, we don't quite know what to do with you. We almost don't regret putting the belt on you, but we just got to like make you wrestle a whole bunch of matches because you're the champion.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel with her. Like, I mean, that's how I feel about her in 2023. But as far as the match itself, I was definitely rooting for Willow to do her thing, bring home the gold. Because I feel like had Willow won that match, she would have been like on a Kurt Angle level of like that as far as the good year.
Yeah.
The year that she's going with. So,
I'm with you completely because she could have won that belt. Then she could have won like the TBS belt. She could have been like a dual champion and would have helped out both shows too. Hey,
it's not too late for TBS because with Tony Khan booking, today you're a babyface, tomorrow you're a heel, vice versa. So Statlander, I mean, yeah, she could just out of no rhyme or reason just turn heel. Then Nightingale, go ahead, win the TBS belt, and then we back on top, baby. But I will say though, the other good thing about Athena. So you did hit the nail on one part as far as the Athena, as far as we talk about her caliber matches. The good thing that did happen about this match, Doc, is this actually benefited both women. Athena winning shows that, okay, she's meant to be taken more seriously as a champion. And with Willow losing, it didn't hurt her at all.
No,
It didn't hurt her not one bit. Because then
no,
it showed like, okay, it showed Willow like, okay, you getting there. Like I say, you're almost there, but we're not quite ready yet. But you're on your way because especially freshly coming off the Owen Hart victory. So, like I said, so as far as this match goes, I still give it 3.5. But this, booking wise, this is probably the best for Athena since she's won this belt. And with Willow, you can't win them all, but you can win plenty more.
There you go. Well said for sure. So yeah, this was a pretty good show. It was a pretty entertaining show. So hopefully, they continue on that route with that for their later shows that Ring of Honor that they do. So, and I really hope so. But so basically, excuse me. Ooh. So moving on, we do have our What If basically episode of Nuclear Heatwave Wrestling Podcast. Now, what we said last week is that we said, let's come up with 3 scenarios, small, big, whatever each, for me and Sauce, and to just talk about. And then anybody of you guys are, you have your own what ifs, ideas, let us know, and we'll talk about that too, And we'll start off with, just because it looks like, because Mad Chatter already kind of talked about it earlier. But Mad Chatter, going back to where he said, who do you think the mystery third guy will join the Outsiders? Now, obviously, on this timeline, it was Hulk Hogan. So Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But I had a different idea that it's different, it's crazy, the whole thing, a lot of moving parts. But what if the mystery third person was Bret Hart? Bret the Hitman Hart.
It's funny you say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, Doc, because I almost photoshopped his face on that thumbnail.
Oh, that's funny.
I was this close to photoshopping his face on there.
That's funny. So, yeah, I basically kind of thought of different scenarios because obviously people have talked about that. People have talked about who could have been the third person for many years, whether people thought it could have been Sting, it could have been, a multitude of other people. But in my head, I go, what if it was, like I said, now, mind you, the problem with this is, again, the timeline is still a little wonky, but you just got to look. Talking about what if. This is a different universe. This is a completely different WWE universe, WWF universe. But imagine if Bret Hart was there. Now, in this also, how I kind of looked at this universe, Owen Hart came with him and still alive. So basically, the idea is that he was the third guy, and then Owen Hart would be like the guy that kind of, and I hate using this as an example. He's much, 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 much better. But he'd be like how Six, with X-Pac, in a sense, he'd be like in there too, like to kind of round out that group right there. And I would personally, I would love, I thought that would be great to see. I think it would have been cool to see him on the mic, right? Because Hogan's great at the mic, but Bret Hart is oozing that heel.
Yeah.
Heel, I'm better than you, literally. I'm literally the best in the world before who was the best in the world, But how crazy would have been different, right? Now, obviously, this contingency is basically the idea that like Hogan was either still there or not, whatever. Because Hogan, with his creative control, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. But the NWO would have been as popular. I still say it would have been, but it might not have had the biggest impact because remember, like Hogan turning heel, that was like
huge.
It's like a natural disaster size. That's like a mega eruption volcano going off. So CBM actually has a good point on this. So Lex Luger and Sting were the contingencies in case Hogan changed his mind about being the third man, which makes sense, especially for Sting. But could you even imagine Luger though? Oh my gosh. Like it would have never worked. Like Luger couldn't even get over as the idea of being the champion in WWF when they even fake gave him the belt to show in front of crowds, for God's sake, you know. But CBM does have a good point here. Bret Hart was supposed to be the fourth man in September '96 when his contract with WWF was up. So that tells you something right there.
So, Doc, let's say I'll wait till you're done first. I'll wait till
Oh yeah, no, that's pretty much it. So again, how I look at it is, it would have been crazy, it would have been a big deal, but the overall ramifications with if Hogan wasn't that character that turned heel, NWO wouldn't have been as big. They would have been big, would they have? But they probably wouldn't have been beating WWF how many ever weeks in a row. You know, it wouldn't have got to that big. So,
Doc, can I piggyback off of that?
Absolutely. Here, hold on. Wait, hold on. Oh, throw it to you. Oh, you got it. There we go.
Wrong camera.
Okay, you got it.
I was like, go this way. But anyway, so actually, would it have had the same impact as Hogan? Well, here's my thing. During this time, I mean, what are we talking about? NWO formed in '96, correct?
Yeah, and actually, right before you keep going, CBM also, this was actually a very good point as why he wasn't the fourth man. But when Bret Hart signed the 20-year WWF contract, which is exactly what he did, Ted DiBiase came in and Eric Bischoff turned heel. So that's what kind of put the kibosh on that 20-year deal. Makes Big Show's 10-year deal look crazy, look not as crazy by comparison. Right. So, but you go on, we were saying, sorry.
So this is '96, and Bret Hart, at that point he wasn't really booked as like that soft heel in WWE, you know, but only a hero in Canada. So at this point, you know, Bret Hart, you know, he's just kind of, you know, he feels like, you know, after that WrestleMania where Hogan pretty much came in and took the belt from Yokozuna, he says, you know what, Vince, thank you for everything. We had a good run. So at this time, he's still fresh. You know, he's the baby face. He's the new generational guy. So imagine, you know, contract is up, and you know we got the outsiders, you know, beat up everybody and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you hear that Bret thing, and then all of a sudden you see Mr. Purple and Black coming down that ring, you know, to come down and help. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, he comes up. I say sweet chins, Macho Man, you know, right in the face, put him in the headlock, you know, puts him in the sharpshooter, and points toward right through the hard camera. It just has like that.
Yeah, that look. Yep, that smug. That smug.
Yeah, that Canadian smug. He looks right at that camera. And then Hall and Nash, they both do their signature. What's the name?
Yeah.
Tell me that would be a badass photo. He's got Macho Man and Sharpshooter, and they point over there, and now they got all the fans are like, they're confused, they're confused, they're outraged, but they're going through a lot of emotions. Now all the trash in the ring comes in.
Oh yeah.
Now they started talking on the trash, and Bret, you know, he goes on he go ahead and does his heel spiel and get a little cheap heat from the audience and whatnot. And then maybe you can probably bring in maybe a few weeks later. Or hell, what I would do, because I do like the idea of the Owen Hart, you know, you basically have like three, you know, I guess you do like a 3-on-3, whatever match at the next pay-per-view. Then somebody comes in, you know, you have a cameraman comes in and hits you know, one of the baby faces in the face, whatever. And then he takes his head off, Owen Hart.
Yep.
And then now you got four. You got the two actual brothers, and then the two guys who are seen as like brotherly. So
what will be great too is if they're still forming the NWO, but like Bret Hart and them, their NWO logo is white and it's got pink like lining on it, so it's got the black, pink, and white on it. How sweet would that be, man? Oh man, I'm just
Or hell, they could even just did like the white NWO and then have the pink box around it.
yeah, something, yeah. And
Or in NWO, but like the N and O are white and the W is pink.
yep, yep.
Either way, like either way. Oh, real quick, I'm looking on. I'm just glancing at NXT,
Yeah,
and
breaking
they're
news.
doing
NXT breaking news.
so. They're doing their own supermarket fight.
Oh,
What's that? Roxanne Perez.
Man, that missed Booker T.
Yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much paying homage to Booker T and Stone Cold. But yeah, she came in there and just basically beat up on the girl. But anyway, Perez beating up Davenport. That's very,
Oh, okay.
So anyway, but yeah, I do like that. That's a pretty awesome idea. That, as far as like, if you could, that'll be like a cool way of booking it. Like bring it on next month at another pay per view, have him disguised as cameraman. Bam.
Yep.
Okay.
That'd be cool. So, all right, Sauce. How about you give us one? How about you give us a idea? And anybody that's listening that wants to put any of their what if ideas, and we can talk about that too. But we'll go with Sauce right now. Give us one that you've been thinking about.
So, what I'm going to pick is obviously for the thumbnail wasn't the actual story. I mean, the ideas. It was just something I threw together at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But I have one, and this is off the top of my head. This is kind of off the top of my head. What instead of Terry Bollea becoming Hulk Hogan, it was Randy Savage.
Okay.
Becoming the Hulkster. Just imagine, he'll come down the aisle. Oh yeah, say your prayers.
Oh my gosh.
Read my Bible scriptures. I say you're going down because the Hulkster said so, brother.
All I can think about what makes me laugh about that is the fact that, well, one, Hulk Hogan gets his name the Hulk because of the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. And if you called Savage the Savage Hulk, that's like the main version of Hulk, right? That's that kind of funny to think about it. But I get what you're saying. I like it, especially because he definitely would have had a heart attack way earlier in these promos. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. But just imagine, so in this world, Randy Savage, because this is crazy, because I actually had this idea. Me and a buddy was talking about this 12 years ago. We were talking about what if somebody else was Hulk Hogan instead of Terry Bollea? And I just thought about, I was like, man, how cool would it have been if, like I said, if Randy Savage, he could have been, instead of Hulk Hogan. I guess you could do Hulk Savage or Savage Hulk, or once again, me in my brain, we just call him Hulk Hogan. We're calling Randy Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Or you could just put on there Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, like Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and just watch him just like that intensity. Now Hogan already had intensity, and he was cool as a cucumber when he would just do stuff. But just imagine Macho Man, Hawking, they started beating. He does Hawking up. He gets some Hawking up, and he does that signature Macho Man spin in the ring. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
but just imagine him, like I said, just Hawking up, doing the spin, whatever. And what would make it even cool? Yes, the leg as a kid, the leg drop was cool. And he can actually still keep that as arsenal. But he does a big boot leg drop. But then the icing on the cake would be the flying elbow. As he gets on the ring, it says, "Oh, I need all the power of my Hulkamaniacs.
Yeah,
deliver the great elbow of justice," or whatever you want to call it. And whatever, and he brings the Hulk, basically the Hulkamania elbow down. And 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been able to slam Andre. That's a whole different theory. But
yeah.
But just I'm just thinking his intensity. Because I mean the man, for the most part, the man played in WWF, he played a heel a lot. He was just a heel that you just loved. But and people already still loved him when he came down the ring. And he was just smooth as cool as a cucumber. But just imagine if he had that intent, he came down with that intensity with those, as far as the eyes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then we'll be, and you can still have, and actually we'll make it kind of cool is you can still rock some shades or whatever.
Oh
as
yeah,
far as
for sure.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would work. I mean, look at him within the Mega Powers. Like, just take that version of him, and then but he would be like the Hulk Hogan, and there would be no Hogan character, and like Terry Bollea Hogan. Yeah, it would still work, especially because that was wrestling. He was the epitome. Like all those guys were the epitome of wrestling right there in the 80s and such. It was just insane. Yeah. But yeah, I'd buy that for $1 for sure. I mean, he had the charisma, the flashiness, the outfits were great, the storylines were great. He was, So it would have been interesting to see for him. Now the long term effects, though, like because obviously when he stopped wrestling, I say stop wrestling in WWF, but I know he went to WCW, but I don't really count much of that honestly because he wasn't really that good. We all know. We do have a chat here from Christopher Roseboro. We got a yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you could, give us we'll get right back at you. But yeah, seeing Randy Savage in the alternate timeline, seeing Randy Savage as basically Hulk Hogan, we call him Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying him coming out with that intensity, especially and then the last thing is just imagine him versus Sergeant Slaughter. Let's say what was that WrestleMania? I forgot. Forgive me, y'all. I forgot which WrestleMania it was. But just imagine, like I said, imagine Randy Savage, let's say versus Sergeant Slaughter, and just that intensity. Because America, the whole country is behind Mr. Savage as far as to get this W and get this belt.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like it. That's a good one right there. See, that's I mean these alternate timelines and multiverse. That's what I like. How I like to look at it. So I've got one here for you. Now the people have talked about this one back in the day. It would have been interesting. They definitely talked about wanting to do it, but ended up not happening. But what if back in 1999 they gave China the World Heavyweight Championship? So in a sense, the storyline goes like this in our world here, that the rumor was that she wanted to do Playboy. She had 99 was a big year for her. She won the Intercontinental title twice. Or no, she won it then, and then she won it in 2000. I apologize. And then she obviously was in Playboy. That was a big deal. The big rumor was that she was told by McMahon, I'll make you world champion. Joni, I'll make you world champion. You can't do Playboy. No Playboy. And she said, nope, I'm doing Playboy. And that was so that's the story. Now, here's the thing. Here's how close we were to this. And I know they were. August 9th, 99, my birthday. Two things happened that night. Obviously, the more relevant one was Jericho debuting against The Rock on Monday Night Raw. But the other thing that happened that night was that Triple H was trying to win a chance to fight for the world title. But there was interference that happened, and China won the match. So technically that day, China had a world title opportunity to face off. So at that point, there were something in the book works for that to happen. Whether or not the storyline about the Playboy, whatever. But in this storyline, she would have went on to become the world champion because she was like hot. Like she was hot. Like she was like striking the irons hot type situation. People loved her. That the women's division wasn't really much at that point, but it didn't matter because she was so dominant in her Intercontinental title bids against Jeff Jarrett, Jericho, stuff like it was just like later in 2000, whatever. So it's like and then of course she won the world women's title at WrestleMania 17, but it's like she could have been world champion. And the wrestling world would have lost their mind. They really would. Like now, it's kind of almost old hat. Like Impact Wrestling had Tessa Blanchard win, but she won like during the pandemic, and then never defended the belt and never wanted to do any programming. So then no one wants to work with her, so no one really cared, right?
Yep.
Masha Slamovich wins in GCW, and that was actually a big win for her. But because more people don't really treat GCW as a higher tier company, they kind of brush it off. I don't. I think that's a big win. I like her as a wrestler. But, but if China had won back in 99, late 99 or like 2000, I mean, holy. Even for like a month, even for a week, something longer than Kane. How about you look at that? Would have Kane like Kane every day? It would have, the publicity alone would have been insane. It would have been on every single, well before, social media, well before anything like that. AOL Instant Messenger was barely a thing, for God's sake. But it would have been the biggest thing on every news outlet. ESPN would have picked up on it. Every single one would have picked up on that. And, again, business-wise, it would have been a great idea. CBM says it right here. Vince Russo just had an orgasm. Now, great. Now I have that thought in my head. God damn it. Well, I got to go have some electroshock therapy to get rid of that thought. But what are your thoughts about that, man? About my idea?
So, I mean, yeah, not only would only WWF had the doors blown off, but pro wrestling at that time would have just been insane. And I rarely use that word because social media and YouTube has ruined that word for me. But be as it may, like, as far as Ronda Rousey, what she's done as far as UFC and as far as her popularity or whatnot, the Ronda Rousey thing would have probably still happened, but at that point, everybody would have been like, okay, I mean that's cool, but China did it first. They was like, oh, okay, so now she's being like China, but they would just call her the China of UFC. As far as at that point.
Yeah.
At that point, any woman who would have made any strides, like Danica Patrick, I don't know if she ever won a race.
No, she was terrible. She was absolutely terrible. So
and then she would have been the China of NASCAR. Like basically, like she would have, like her legacy would have been just like crazy, just through the roof. Like as far as like, and then let's say WWE Women's when they did Evolution pay-per-view, let's just say, she did still pass away, but they probably would have did like a statue of her or like do like a 10 bell thing just to honor her. Like her popularity would have went through the stratosphere. Just not only for pro wrestling, but just the world itself.
Yep.
And whatnot. And then you can have her, as far as, but I think what Vince would have done, she might have had a couple of defenses, but she would have had the title probably defending against a few mid-carders.
Yep.
Because I don't see her having her first defense against a Rock Stone Cold or whatever, or those type of caliber, the top of the card, and her successfully, beating crap out of them and winning and defending. It would have just came off as weird, but because it's kind of like how her run basically would have been like the Big Show's first run when he won the belt, because he was already feuding with Big Boss Man, so basically Boss Man by default was no more contender.
Yeah.
Whatever, he had like a kind of like a okay run. So, but I feel like that's basically where, like, it would have been cool that night, the next day on Raw, or not. But then I feel like she would have just basically defended against mid carders. And then, eventually would have lost to one of the more important people. But for like that week or so, just like us being in, at that time being in high school, just us just going crazy the next morning, at school, just talking about it.
Oh yeah. It would have been definitely something to talk about for so long. But alas, whether or not the story about the whole Playboy, she was going to get it, regardless of if that's true, the fact is that on August 9th, 99, on the same Raw as Jericho debuting, they had her win to get a shot for the world title. I mean, it's not a coincidence that that happened. You know, it's just not a coincidence. So,
and then once again, you know, even like let's say she did pass, you know, we wouldn't be talking about Mae Young tournament. We would be talking about the China tournament.
Oh, it would have been definitely, yeah. You know, and I know like her extracurricular activities that she did later in life after she left, and she was in Impact for a brief time, very brief time there in TNA Impact. But like, my problem I had is, look, people all make mistakes and do other stuff or whatever, but the way that they just kind of like didn't even try to think of mention her. It wasn't until finally, you know, DX gets put in the Hall of Fame that they're like in China, and it was very cool because even at the ceremony they reiterated China, like Triple H and them. They were like, you know, China and
well, actually, it was what's the name that really made it a point was X-Pac of all people.
Yep, well, yeah, of course. Well, yeah, because I mean, hey, look, as an X, but he was with her for a while, and you know, I'm just glad that happened. But you're definitely right. It would have definitely been the China tournament, the Joni Lore tournament or whatnot. That's for sure. I'm 100% with you on that. You know, and
women like Bianca Belair, Beth Phoenix, Raquel Rodriguez,
Rhea Ripley. You know,
they'll be looked at as the China. Everybody will look at them as like the next, China.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Sauce. Hit me with that second one while we rewrite wrestling history.
So in this timeline, so one of them is on the thumbnail, and I like to talk about it. But what if John Cena became the leader of Nexus? Now this is the way I would have booked it that night. So obviously you had what's unfortunately left of, Bret Hart's old decrepit ass. You walking around, WWE. He mending the fences. Everybody on TV, that's good. La di da. Then after that horrible, horrendous WrestleMania match that he had, everybody's like, okay, yes, Bret, you cannot get back in the ring and wrestle. So this is the way I would have booked that night. Now, Bret Hart would have still, they up until, the Sunday, whatever, the pay-per-view, yes, Bret Hart's still supposed to be in the match. But the way I would have did it was like maybe an hour beforehand, you see Bret on the ground, just not necessarily, you don't have to make him all bloody up, just on the ground and whatever. He just can't wrestle now. So now it's a 6-on-7. So everybody's wondering, and of course, John Cena is upset because he's like, the Nexus is going to pay now, to do this to a legend or whatnot. And so, now Team WWE has more motivation now for the main event of SummerSlam to, as far as the Nexus. So, the match is going on and whatnot. And at this point, so now we're at the third act of the match. Now we're down to Daniel Bryan and John Cena versus we still got Wade Barrett. We still got Wade Barrett.
Mason Ryan wasn't he?
Well, I'm just trying to think like as far as so you have two people left on Team WWE.
Oh, I got you.
And let's just say we have Wade Barrett and David Otunga left. So now it's really left to 2-on-2. Because David Otunga, the only reason why he was somewhat popular is because of his wife.
Mr. Jennifer Hudson, gotcha.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Mr.
So we got Wade Barrett and Mr. Hudson on one side, and we got John Cena and Daniel Bryan on the other side. So at this point, Daniel Bryan, he might have got knocked out, whatever, cheap shot. So, and Daniel Bryan has yet to get into this match. So now the crowd is hot. The crowd is just wait for that hot tag. As far as Cena to Daniel Bryan. So now Daniel Bryan's going in here doing his thing. He's beating up these two guys. Actually, let's tweak it a little bit. It's John Cena and Daniel Bryan versus Wade Barrett, David Otunga, and maybe two other people.
Okay.
Because Michael Tarver gets eliminated because he sucks. And then Skip Sheffield, Mr. Ryan Sheffield, he gets eliminated because he's useless.
Oh God.
And then so basically at this point we got a 2-on-5 type of deal. So Daniel Bryan comes in, he's get the hot tag, he's knocking cats out left and right. So he knocks out Slater and Darren Young. So at this point now you have two. Now we got the 2-on-2. And so, it's been a lot of wear and tear. At this point, too, now the matches has gone about 24 minutes. Daniel Bryan's got a wear and tear. He's been in there for about, I guess 7 minutes, whatever. He needs refreshed. So he goes for the tag, and then all of a sudden, John Cena moves his hand and just looks at him. John Cena then comes in and looks at him and basically just obliterates him. He picks him up by his neck and just do a quick little slam or whatever slam you prefer.
Yeah.
So now everybody's like, wait, what? And Wade Barrett and Otunga, they're confused too. He's just beating the crap out of Daniel Bryan. And John Cena, he drags Daniel Bryan over to the middle of the ring and he tells Wade Barrett, pin him now. And Wade Barrett's like, okay, well, fine, cool. Cool. All right. And then mind you, the member, as far as that goes, so Wade Barrett pins Daniel Bryan. At this point, I guess the match is over now because Cena's defected. So then just keep up with me, y'all. So now Daniel Bryan's gone, and now Wade Barrett and Cena and Otunga, they basically raising their hands in the ring. Wade Barrett's like, "Oh, you come to join us now?" And Cena's like, "You damn right I am." They all raise their hand, raise their hands. And all of a sudden, Cena looks at Wade Barrett and just clotheslines the ever-loving piss out of him. And then starts beating up Barrett or whatever. And the crowd's like, okay, what's going on? He just turned on Daniel Bryan. Now he's beating up Wade Barrett. What the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, Otunga, he jumps out the ring because he's like, I don't know what's going on. He looks confused, and all of a sudden, Otunga just has this look on his face like, yeah, this is our plan all along. He tosses Cena. Not even armband. He tosses him a shirt. Cena puts it on. He puts his chest on top of Wade Barrett, and he raises his hand and says, now he's the new leader of the Nexus. He took it over. Nick.
Boom.
I'm just saying, Dr. Love.
I like it.
Just imagine.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm all for
it. Just imagine, Doc. We just had this timeline. We had the NWO. That was like the craziest thing ever. Doc, imagine. Now we're in the world. Now we're like in the we're in the stride of social media. Imagine Twitter just going Twitter literally just stops working because now everybody's like, "Oh my God, did you just see what happened?"
Yeah.
And now, because I kind of talked about this. We were kind of pre-talking at the bar the other day. So the way I would do it, and I'm gonna wrap this up. The way I would do it, as far as booking forward, Cena takes over the Nexus, and what happens is, so like how Punk took over, basically kicked Wade Barrett out. Wade Barrett basically was degraded to the core. But this time, instead of Wade Barrett basically, getting degraded or not, basically down to low card. So now he's been betrayed, and Daniel Bryan looks at him and says, "Listen, let's let bygones be bygones. We both have a common goal now." So now Wade Barrett and Daniel Bryan form an alliance. Maybe they form a new team, whatever. But now it's them two versus the new Nexus.
Well, as long as it's not the core. Oh my God!
We just call it Wade Barrett and the Bryants.
There you go.
But just that. Imagine that all playing out, and just imagine your brain just melting.
Oh yeah!
After just watching what you watched.
At that point, people would have loved to see it because people were already sick of John Cena. They it would have been a great lateral type move. But the problem was, they still were making so much money off of Cena as a face.
I'm still here.
Oh, all right. We got the little. Hey, I just like Cena. We can't see him, so just same thing. But yeah, it's the fact is that he was making too much money as a face, the merchandise, all that stuff. They were going to lose that cash cow, and he was doing the Make a Wish Foundation too. It's hard. I get it. As a wrestling fan and just as a fan, that would have been great to see. It would have been a huge, like nuclear explosion in wrestling. So I would have liked to see it. So that's a good one. That's a good one, man. But for my last one, I kind of bounced around with a lot of different what if scenarios because there was a lot of smaller ones, bigger ones. But then I came up with this one just because it was honestly, it would have been interesting to see. So obviously in 2001, WCW was bought by WWF. ECW folded like a couple months prior. Then WWE bought the all the ECW library. Anyway, so they got the wrestlers. Now, a year later in 2002 is when the NWA TNA brand became a thing, a total nonstop action. And at that point, they've been on and still been going on currently as Impact Wrestling since then. They've had iterations here and but for the most part, they're still around. Had lots of big wrestlers throughout the years. But my question is this. What if in 2002, NWA TNA had a billionaire backer like Tony Khan at that time, as opposed, who could have literally bought out anybody's contracts from Ted Turner, all those Ted Turner contracts that people were sitting on, the Steiner, Goldberg, Sting at that time. Now Sting did go eventually to Impact, but I'm talking about he could have bought. If you had a billionaire owner day one, he could have been like buying your contract out, buy your contract out, like anybody. He could have got all these guys to wrestle for NWA TNA in the beginning. Now, maybe not all of them, but they would have became earlier, and it would have been an interesting. I think it would have been an interesting change, and it would have reignited, in a sense, the wrestling wars because one, NWA TNA had good wrestling. They did. And I mean, the originator, when you see AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels wrestling there in the beginning there, Ron the Truth Killings, our Truth, fantastic work as a heel there, NWA champion. Great. I mean, made history there. First recognized, NWA world champion as African American. And it's like, it would have been so cool to see because one of their big problems was they could only afford to film. So like every week in the beginning was a weekly pay-per-view, a $10 pay-per-view. You literally bought every week and then you paid for it. And we did. I remember paying for it a lot because they stacked it with great wrestling every week. Now imagine if you had someone, a backer that was already a billionaire who could have made sure you got the venues. You could have traveled briefly, at least a little bit, but you would have had your own venues. You would have had a contract. You would have found some kind of TV contract at that point. There was no streaming service really at that point. There was nothing, so you couldn't get anything like that. But I'm saying that competition would have ramped up. And I know later years, MWA, TNA, and Impact became kind of like, oh, they're like WCW. It's like, yeah, that's not a bad thing. Competition is good for wrestling. So I think it would have been different and interesting to see because especially with the resurgence of Ring of Honor, you would have seen some of these guys that might have been picked up by them like, hey, let's come over here. Well, this guy's paying a lot of money. He's going to put us on TV. Ring of Honor wasn't on TV at that point. So I think if they had a billionaire backer day one that would have got a lot of stuff put up, you would have seen a lot of this big talent come sooner and scare McMahon to either try to get these guys sooner. Like, look, if Sting was picked up then, a year later, after the buyout, I guarantee you McMahon would have tried to sway him to come to WWF. It might not have worked, but he would have tried way harder sooner than he did, when Sting eventually went there a few years later. So And then we do have CBM, because I know if there's one thing I can get CBM to talk about, it's TNA Impact Wrestling. But he also was a piggyback off it. And they almost went bankrupt 2 months after beginning in 2002 as Health South pulled out their financial backing. But TNA just so happened to have marketing consultants named Dixie Carter. So, yeah. And again, so you're talking about, yes, it saved you. But then it went south pretty quickly at that point. You know, all the irony how it went south with Dixie Carter, you know. So, but that's that's my what if. It's a, you know, and then and CBM with, and she said, "Daddy, can Panda Energy invest some money in TNA?" And really, the rest is history at that point, you know. But you had great wrestling. You would have had people there way sooner. You would have had Samoa Joe there sooner. You would have, you know, you would have had a lot of these guys come there soon because of the money. If someone's going to pay you a lot of this money, even if you're not wrestling as much, that's still a big deal. You know, so, but
and actually, like, and to piggyback off of you, Doc, as far as and I think the good thing about that too, definitely would have been like all that extra talent that was just over there in WWE at the time that basically wasn't going to get used coming over from WCW. They all could have, you know, went right over, you know, to, you know, Impact,
yeah,
to TNA.
Oh, absolutely. You know, their contracts would have been up. They would have waited their non-compete, and then they, you know, whoever the billionaire backer could have been like, "Look, we'll pay you to come over here. You know, you wrestled in we know you wrestled like in pros. You wrestled in WCW or ECW or anything like that." So and it would have been basically a sooner than later type thing, like for how it ended up being. But I think it's more so not necessarily about the talent. It is about the talent, but it's about having the money to be able to get the venues, to be able to travel a little bit, and to have a show on a competing network, regardless of what network it was. Because if you have a billionaire to work with your companies, they might be inclined to do that. You know, they're inclined to be like, "Hey, this guy's got some money. Let's see what he has to say." You know, all he would have to show is if he guaranteed he had like Goldberg out of his contract, or if he had, you know, the Steiners out of their contract, if he had Sting out of their contract, along with all this young upcoming talent. Hey, we want to be on TV. All right, let's find you a place to go, you know. So yeah, that's how I look at it for it. But it you know, I still like the old NWA TNA. It was just it became a shit show. Then it became okay. Now it's still kind of a shit show, but it's still fun. It's, you know, it's wrestling for you.
And I was saying, to piggyback off of that, Doc, I will say, if that happened, let's say if that did happen, like a lot of extra talent that they would have just went over there from WWF, and we probably wouldn't even be looking at the brand split in WWF. Like, it still would have just basically would have been the same way it was before.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because at the early NWA TNA, they didn't have the money to sign all that talent that wasn't being used. But when they started getting more, you know, when they got the funding and the backing, that's when you started seeing them sign the big guys. They signed Samoa Joe. They signed Kurt Angle. They signed Christian. They signed that because they had money. But if they had that money up front, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's some different stuff right there. You know?
Yeah, because Edge could have definitely been a big player. I mean, like, he definitely could have been a big player at the time over there because he was just honing his craft down.
Yeah.
And then hell, look at like Eddie Guerrero. Who knows if he would have went over there, or Bradshaw.
Yep, it's definitely possible at that point. You know, there's a few people that could have went over there. Like, you could have look at Canada Man, you know, he could have went over there easily because if he wasn't being utilized, not really to its full potential, he could have went over there along with any of the younger talent. So yeah, it would have been a big change. It would have definitely changed, you know, and again, that alternate universe, you know, as long as Dixie Carter isn't not in charge, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But so rounded out for the evening, what would be your last what if scenario for this alternate Earth.
So my last and final has to go to the night of The Rock, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, and Chris Jericho. No Way Out. What if Chris Jericho never became undisputed champion?
Oh, you're talking about for Vengeance. So
sorry, Vengeance.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. So when he became,
I meant to say Vengeance. What if that never happened, and it was Kurt Angle who was the one to basically become the undisputed champion?
So what's interesting about that is I could have totally seen that happen, but here's the problem. I believe the exact same storyline would have happened with Angle, with Stephanie, because of the returning Triple H, and I don't think it would have changed much at all. Like I know it sounds weird, like you're like, oh, it changed, but think about it. Kurt Angle would have easily been put into that spot to be with Stephanie, to be like the little lackey of Stephanie, because it was really about Stephanie versus Triple H, and Angle already could play the heel extremely well. He plays the goofy kind of heel. He wouldn't have been able to showcase his chops as dual champion. He would have rocked those belts too, man, like he did when he was IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and then Impact Champion, and he had all the belts in gold.
Well, actually, remember he was dual champion before that, rocking 2 belts when he was the Euro Intercontinental champion.
Correct. Oh yeah, for sure. But as world champions though, rocking them, he would have looked really cool that way. I'm out. I love Angle though, so I would have I love Jericho, but I like Angle. I would have loved to see that too. So.
But you got Angle versus Triple H and WrestleMania 18, and then you have swap it with Jericho versus Kane at the same venue.
Yeah.
Now at this point, Jericho had already had, because as far as booking wise, it would have made no sense for Rock and Stone Cold to win those belts. Win those belts, it would have made no sense. But so let's say those two had swapped roles. So like I said, fast forward WrestleMania. So now Jericho has to fight Kane, and now at this point, Jericho is basically just going to be a mid-carder for the rest of his life in WWF, whatever you want to call it, because he's basically not going to, he's not going to see gold for a while until he'll eventually start to get those title runs, but it'll be after he leaves. He'll probably leave in 2003 and then wait till like 2006 to come back. But now Angle, at this point, now he's champion versus Triple H, and now we just came off of Rock and Hogan, and then let's do this. I'm gonna add one more in there. I'm gonna add one more into there. So and then them two, they don't, Triple H backstage throws fit, but Angle and Triple H, they don't go last at Mania 17 now. They actually go at the top of the hour. They go at the top of, 10 o'clock? So then you throw a curvy match in there. So at that point, so now Angle, he goes on his run. Then eventually the brand gets split, and then he becomes the face of he'll most likely become the face of SmackDown, as I think as Paul Heyman would have won it anyway. But Rock and Stone Cold go last. But at this point, do you think Team Angle gets formed sooner?
Yeah, I think so. I think there would be something sooner for that. It makes sense.
Now, would Team Angle get formed before WrestleMania?
No, I don't think so. I think it'd be after WrestleMania.
Just as far as like having like his cronies to make you know. Oh, and then the cool thing is because the only reason why I was bringing this all up, like just because of that year in general, who would have changed a lot for Jericho and Angle. But at that point, too, does Jericho does he become the face of any? Does he become the face of Raw? Does he become the face of SmackDown? Or does he still like because he's still like at that point? Either the face of Raw or face of SmackDown.
I think he stays the Raw. I think he does. Raw is
Okay.
Jericho makes sense. I mean, it. I'd say that's probably the most logical for him.
So and then the reason why and then because this is basically becoming a domino effect because of Angle winning Undisputed Championship. So now the way I look at it, so Jericho becomes basically a big heel on Raw, even though Triple H just came back whatever and whatnot. So at this point, I know as far as this last scenario, there's a lot going on here, Doc. But now because Jericho, he did the business and he did the job. So now instead of Triple H becoming the first World Heavyweight Champion, now it's Jericho.
Oh, okay.
So now we got Angle at the face of SmackDown. You got the Jericho the face of Raw.
I like it. I think it works.
So basically, what I'm really getting at is how would 2001? I mean, I'm sorry. How would basically what I'm getting at is how would have 2002 gone had that particular booking went differently? And that's that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Triple H, he's coming back and, he's still doing this thing with Shawn Michaels or whatnot. And they would have properly did like a tournament for it. And I would have kept actually, he could have, did some little banter with Shawn Michaels, but I would have kept Triple H face and have Jericho be a scumbag and win the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I believe that would be the best way to do it. I mean,
so
yeah, I personally think that works because Triple H, when he was so hot as the face, it worked. He obviously could be a heel. He knows that. But when his face work was always good stuff, Jericho is just always works as a heel way better than face. So
his face is only good when he break. Well, his face was pretty good when he was berating Stephanie McMahon.
Oh yeah,
but yeah. So basically, when it comes down to my what if, it's basically the booking of 2002.
There we go. See, and I like it. I mean, that's why I thought this would be a cool idea for an option here. Looking into a multiverse of wrestling and the different things that could have happened in the, like you said, the domino effect of those certain choices. So yeah, I mean, I'm all about it. I think it'd be cool because even then, think about that domino choice. If you take what I said about Hulk Hogan. He never went NWO. He stayed red and yellow. He would have been Hulkamaniac facing The Rock, So people were already clamoring over them. His return to WWF, he still would have been in WCW. Come back to WWF as the red and yellow already. I mean, Mark McMahon's still just pissed off he couldn't sell red and yellow stuff at WrestleMania 18. That's what he's mad about. Because if you think about it.
Well, that's what he got WrestleMania 19 for. He booked himself with Hogan. So
I know, right? He's like, God damn, God, Hulk, we got that. We got it.
But yeah, I do agree, Doc. Like, just imagine if if you had babyface versus babyface at that Mania, Rock versus Hogan, Rock versus red and white. I mean, I'm sorry, red and yellow Hogan. That would have been just like my brain would have just exploded like 6 times.
And
that match.
To round this out, about CBM has about Jericho's. What about Y2AJ and their illustrious face run? Oh my God! What's crazy is they sold shirts like that for like 2 weeks, and then they weren't even together like that long, and you could get shirts that were like Y2AJ.
I remember that happening. I was like, they about to bury my boy AJ.
Yeah,
Mania.
yeah. I wasn't really a fan that he lost, but you know what? Again, to wrestle in a really good match against a veteran like Jericho, so I wasn't too upset about it, you know. But yeah, this is illustrious. But yeah, so honestly, I think those are some good choices there, Sauce. Some good choices. And like I said, I had a lot of other smaller ones here and there, but those are ones I thought would have a bigger impact. And of course, you know, we didn't want to talk too much at all about like wrestlers if they had passed away. I did briefly talk about Owen Hart, but you know, obviously there's a lot that anything could have happened, you know, when if someone passed away. One thing we're not really going to talk about too much, but 1975, Ric Flair was involved in a plane crash. 26 years old, he could have died, and he literally had never. He just started wrestling pretty recently, and he wasn't even a Nature Boy yet. So talk about if he would have died before Nature Boy was even born, Ric Flair, in a sense. So you know, so that's something. Of course, Eddie Guerrero, you know, and you know, plenty of other wrestlers. But we wanted to keep this more more fun, more kind of like I'd say whimsical, but just kind of like lighthearted, and still some big changes. And then we do have CBM here with in Toronto is a major pro Hogan town. Red and yellow Hogan would have literally caused fans to faint. And at WrestleMania X8, you know, X8, yeah,
Yep.
So again, how crazy it would have been. I'm happy with what we got. Don't get me wrong, because you know the poison of NWO didn't work out the way he thought, you know, but it was a happy accident that they loved him more. So, but I'm all about it. I'm fine. I still have my Hogan shirts from back in WCW. I still have ones I bought when he came back and after 18 at WrestleMania 18. So trust me, it's pretty cool. But so that's pretty much it for our what if kind of episode here. Now we do usually, like I said, at the end of all of our episodes, we like to kind of go over the what's the heat of the week, and that's always just something that we always something good that happened, promo, match, anything like that. So Sauce, I'm going to hand it over to you this week. Your heat of the week.
Actually, my heat of the week is Shibata versus Garcia.
Yeah,
That match itself, my heat of the week. Normally we like to do people, but that match itself had me, basically had my whole attention from start to finish.
Yep.
Shout out to those wrestling lads for the performance they put on for us. So it was well worth the $40 that I spent.
Yeah. No, it was a really good show. A really good match. And I was gonna say like Daniel Garcia and them, but I will pick something different. What I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick Dalton Castle, and then just seeing a Ring of Honor original in this match, and just seeing his glory, and the fact that you've never seen him before, Sauce. So you got to see his glory, and literally that's how he's always been in Ring of Honor. He had the boys with him. He's literally this larger than life character, mix of Elton John, a mix of Freddie Mercury, a mix of Adrian Adonis, Russell. It's and all flashy and entertaining. So I'm glad you got to see that for the first time. But so yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, I'm glad you guys, everyone here, chatting with us, of course. So next week's going to be a big week for two reasons. So next week we do have the full preview for WWE SummerSlam. It's also our 1 year anniversary for the Nuclear Heatwave Wrestling Podcast, because last year our first show was right after SummerSlam, but SummerSlam was like 2 weeks earlier. It was like the last week of July.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it will be our 1 year anniversary. And yeah, we've grown so much. Sauce, haven't we grown so much? So much.
We've grown so much. We finally figured out how to do this now.
I know. Here we go. We have got this going. But so we're gonna have a full preview of SummerSlam, and of course, SummerSlam is in our home state in Detroit at Ford Field, and we will be there. we will be there, and most of our crew will be there. A lot of people are going to be there. It's going to be a good show. So we'll see what happens. When it comes down to it, we might be like, get someone's phone out. Let's see if we can go stream live right now. Probably not, but we'll see. Probably not going to happen that way. But we'll still have the full preview for you guys, and yeah. So, like I said, as always, Dr. Love here. And of course, Sauce Bronson. I can't do it without this guy. This guy's the best. And, with that being all said, we're going to catch you next week. And, stay classy, guys.
Hey, listen, y'all stay happy. Y'all stay healthy. But most importantly, be good.